Surely it doesn't. Your response to Ms. Madhusari and Professor Hargopal. Maruf.
Arnab, with due respect to the academics and people who've been working on the ground out there, I also have some ground experience of insurgencies across the country. But let me sort of bring out a couple of points. The first thing is, I think this particular incident is clearly, once again, a resonating challenge to the idea of India. These people have gone out and conveyed the message in a ruthless manner, which terrorists often do, because this makes news and gets them back into national reckoning, especially since so much other news is devoted to non-Nakshal related issues in the last couple of weeks. So they wanted to bounce back, and they sought an easy target in these people. It's always said that if there was no media, the terrorists would have provided a media so that they get coverage for such ghastly acts. And this is an act of terrorism. To say that Nakshals are different than terrorists, I don't buy that argument anymore. Anybody killing innocents, whether politicians or otherwise, in cold blood is a terrorist, period. The second point is that this entire act clearly indicates two things. Either there was a lack of procedures that was not adhered to, or complacency, or clearly negligence. I mean, there is a simple thumb rule in insurgency areas. You don't go on the track in which you have gone before. So if you take a particular route which is an exit route, then there is another route that you have to take in your way back to your location.
Yeah.
You don't follow the same route. They did that. This has happened in insurgencies before. Now, there are various other issues that I can bring out in terms of what went wrong on the ground. But what I want to say is, there are a lot of people who turn around and keep saying that, getting security forces in larger numbers is not going to solve the problem. I'm sorry. The problem needs a quick fix, and it needs a long-term solution. The quick fix is to contain the problem before you can start addressing the grievances of the people, because the Nakshals, like any other terror group, don't want good governance, don't want projects to be undertaken there which will get them out of reckoning from common people's support. There was a gentleman who talked about how the people supported them in their march right across the same area. Well, the people support you if you don't make news. If you're going to make news, these same people who are hitting out at politicians would hit at another gang of people. This is the thumb rule of insurgencies. And let me remind the August audience, never in history, and we are all to some extent students of history, has an insurgency been tackled purely by waving white flags and wearing gloves. You have to get on with the business of containing the insurgency and have a carrot and stick policy. Unfortunately, the current dispensation in Delhi doesn't seem to get its act together. In England, you get one soldier who's beheaded and the Prime Minister cuts short a visit and comes back to attend to the whole national crisis. Here you've got so many people who are killed, and the Home Minister is not finding it fit enough to come back to Delhi and address the issue, if he at all has the capability and capacity. Now the pointed issue is, why can't all the states in India which are Nakshal affected come under the same umbrella? And if those revered academics have a solution to provide, and believe me, we've been on this route for a decade or more.
I want to hear the solution.
Time to study and
I want to hear the solution.
Papers I want
to hear the solution. Maruf, I want to put that question to the academics.
My solution is threefold.
One second. I want to hear the solution. And
there is a threefold solution. You contain the problem,
it can't
you
be
provide them
be a one-way conversation.
And then you get into a dialogue with them. You can't do either of them.
You know only the way of the bullets, nothing more than that.
Atul Kumar Anjal.
You want me to give me time to explain? I'll tell you how to contain it.
No. Arnab, how long you will continue with this debate? And one person is speaking.
No, sir. Using of troops is not always about indiscriminate firing.
Mr. Maruf Raza and Atul
It's not a battlefield, sir. The problem with you academics is you inflate every situation into a battlefield. A situation can be contained without firing bullets. There are ways to go about it. Go on the ground and talk to the real soldiers who've done this.
I want to simply ask one question. Saroj Giri hasn't spoken, neither is Udipan Mukherjee. I'll open up the debate. I have absolutely no problem. I'll open up the debate just to give me some time. The question is this. Saroj Giri, right? I think the solution is development. Do you agree?
Sorry?
I think the solution is
Sorry?
development. Do you agree?
Development, what kind of development? What do you mean by development, Arnab?
Oh, you want me to have an academic definition of
Do
development?
you mean the same kind of development? Yeah, same kind of development, which is in fact what the state and what people like Mahendra Karma were pushing for. Are you for the same kind of
No,
development you're
can I
talking
tell
about?
you?
Then of course
no,
I'm against
Saroj
it.
Giri, I don't live in a utopian world. You might. Therefore, I'll tell you. The question is this.
No, I'm
For
not.
1
I'm
minute.
just
No,
asking
let's
you
be
a question.
specific.
You
No,
ask
Dr.
me.
Saroj
I'm
Giri,
just
allow me.
asking
Please,
you.
this, don't ever take a patronizing attitude with me. I'm asking you a question, answer the question. Don't try and
I'm just
patronize to
asking you
deflect
what
the
kind of
question.
development,
You
because-
try to you patronize someone else. You don't patronize me. Okay? It doesn't, it's like water off a duck's back.
I'm just asking you.
So
what
I'm
kind of
asking you a
development?
question. If
Because
you
there are
can't
different
answer the
models.
question, don't try and confound it. Understand? That's the point. The
Well,
question
my view is this.
No,
Arnab.
allow me
My
one second.
view is this. First, of course.
I'll
Yeah.
ask you 1 second. Between 2007 and 2012,
Yeah.
between 2007 and 2012, have the
No,
patience
what-
to listen to the question. School buildings have been blasted across 207 of them. 590 forest roads. 228 telephone exchanges. On 208 occasions, railway property critical to local area development has been targeted. 76 panchayat buildings have been blown up. Hundreds of school children have been injured. Now, the simple question to you is this, and then I'll go to Udipan. In my view, this busts the development myth because Maoists have targeted structures of development, lines of communication, school buildings, forest roads, and telephone exchanges. Doesn't this blow the lid off this?
Can I respond to
This lie that is repeatedly propounded about Maoists being a bunch of vigilantes who have been forced to take up arms due to an oppressive state that is keeping them poor and backward?
Well, let me tell you, I don't believe in this.
Absolutely.
Arnab, can I come in here?
Yeah.
Can I come in here? Can I answer? Can I respond to what you just pointed out now?
I'm waiting.
Hello. Yeah. No, my response to what you're saying is that in terms of the actual facts that you're talking about, the Naxals, the Maoists demolished, schools demolished, the 10 other things that you pointed out, in terms of its raw, brute fact, that might not be untrue, right? But you have to also then ask why they were doing that.
Oh,
right?
God. Why do you blow up school buildings? Sorry, educate me. Why do you blow up school buildings?
But at the same time...
why do you blow up school buildings? Educate me. Maybe I don't know something. Why do you blow up school buildings?
Because the school buildings were not really used in order to educate children, but they were just shelters for putting in troops. But anyways, I don't. But yeah. So there is always a reason. Otherwise, how do you think? Yeah, how do you think, Arnab, let me finish, how do you think otherwise the Maoists are getting the support that they're getting if they go around killing people, if they go around demolishing schools and hospitals? I
because
think they're not doing
armed.
that. They are doing that as, but I want to actually point out something here in this debate here today.
Udipan,
I want to...
Udipan, counter question put here. Counter question put here is that if these facts are true, how are they getting their support? Just hear the other side. I'll get everyone in, then I'll open this up. Udipan.
Yeah, Arnab, the thing is that I think we are deviating from the actual matter at present. What I believe, and in my personal capacity, is that let's focus on the event which occurred at Darba Ghati and which occurred in Latehar in January this year. These were despicable acts of barbarism. You cannot define these acts through mere words or rhetoric, I believe. And no code of guerrilla warfare, whether written by Mao or Guevara, really substantiate any arguments or put forth any arguments which say that you can kill indiscriminately unarmed civilians. And this is what exactly happened at Darba Ghati a couple of days back. So let's focus on that problem first, which happened recently, rather than deviating to several other issues which do not have direct bearing or direct correspondence to what happened here. But one positive which I personally feel could be taken out of this incident is the fact that, and also the incident at Latehar which happened in January, is the fact that the Maoists are in a desperate state of affairs. This act, especially at Darbagati, was an act of desperation. Why? Because you see, they were cornered, they were challenged in their own bastion, their fringes at Odisha, or West Bengal, Jharkhand, all were being challenged, they were being pruned, and so this was a venomous outburst rather than a concerted insurgency. You cannot call this an insurgency, this is a plain case of terror, which Mr. Maruf Raza very pertinently pointed out. This was a plain case of terror, simple blatant terror. How would you differentiate the Maoists with the Taliban if these sort of actions go on indiscriminately? This is my question to the academics and
I put that question to Madhu Sareen.
Argument that's going on here.
I put that question to Madhu Sareen, who heard you loud and clear. She wanted to come in as well. Yes, Ms. Sareen.
Yeah. Arnab, firstly, as far as the schools are concerned, I think school or panchayat buildings, I think one needs to distinguish between, you know, whether it is teachers which have been attacked or the buildings housing security forces which have been attacked.
Really?
And I would like to point out that the Supreme Court, under the ongoing 2 PILs against Salwa Judum and all the atrocities against it, has been demanding and requiring of the Chhattisgarh government that the CRPF etc. vacate the schools so that the children can actually study. But that, as far as I know, I'm not sure of the latest situation, but I know many deadlines were passed. And those
Ms. Madhu Sareen.
But those are actually barracks
Ms. Madhu Sareen.
CRPF.
Ms. Madhu Sareen, tell me, the Salwa Judum emerged as a counter to the violence perpetrated by the Maoists is one argument. Now, there is no justification. No justification. 1 minute. Allow me. Let's hear the other side. One sec. Miss Madhu, hear me. Hear me. Hear me. Hear the question. My question to you is that the fact of the matter remains that the Supreme Court disbanded the Salwa Judum, which I would say is a testament to this nation's commitment to the rule of law of the land. And that same rules that the Maoists disregard. So the Maoists disregard those rules. The same rules have disbanded the Salwa Judum. I want you to bring your focus to Saturday. Answer Udipan Mukherjee what he has said. He is bringing the focus on Saturday. He says Saturdays was an act of terror. Don't disguise it through any esoteric or academic argument. Be open to the fact that these same people who you might be providing an ideological support for directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, voluntarily or involuntarily, these same individuals may have exceeded their brief. They may be out of your grasp. And they may not be as ideologically driven as you may imagine, Ms. Sareen. You believe they're ideologically driven? The people who carried out the massacre on Saturday, do you think they're ideologically driven?
I have no idea.
In what way? In what way?
How are they ideologically driven?
Look, how can I speak on behalf of those people? I don't know who they are. But I do know, and I would like to reiterate that there is this long history of dreadful atrocities in that area, not only on, this is the latest case, as I said just last week, 8 innocent Adivasis were killed, including 3 children.
This is what provides the justification. I want to get back, Maruf.
I'm not justifying it.
No, you are not. When I'm asking a question, on Saturday, Miss Sareen, I would like you to sincerely, address the question of Saturday. And that is Saturday. What happened on Saturday? I want 1 second. Ajit Doval. You've heard this argument. Nobody's answering my question on Saturday. None of those who seem to be indirectly supporting what the Maoists are, indirectly. None of them are answering the question on Saturday. Ajit Doval.
On Saturday?
Because there was a massacre on Saturday. Here, Ajit Doval, please. Ajit Doval.
Well, I have one small question to ask for all these people, that in 2010 and 11, 2,000 crore rupees were collected by the Maoists through illegal means. 186 Jan Adalats were held, in which 76 people were their throats were cut and they were given the capital punishment. Is it something that you justify? That you say that you don't have anything to say of who they are, but you have got everything to defend them when it comes to their political ideologies, the means that they adopt, and the causes which have compelled them to do that.